I'm Mark Callion, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. Taking a first look at the Maxspect Gyre XF350 flow pump. This is the third generation of Maxspect Gyres, and I'm told that this generation addresses the issue that myself, several of my clients, and other users had with previous models. Specifically, the issue of servicing the pump. Sanity pump needs to be taken out of your tank, disassembled, and cleaned. This will keep the pump running at top performance. With previous models of the Gyre, there were small parts that were hard to get back together, and if you did get it all back together, the pump was often loud. With the 300 series Gyre, the serviceability of the pump is much improved. Have a look. The impeller cage easily slides off, revealing the impeller inside. The impeller easily slides off too, and taking a closer look at the impeller, the bushing has a groove in it which makes lining up the impeller during pump reassembly quite easy. The impeller slides onto the pump housing, and then the impeller guard goes on over the impeller. Maxspect also color-coded each end of the Gyre to make sure you get the correct impeller on the correct side. On the other end of the impeller there is this small white piece which lines up in the impeller cage. I'm happy to report that reassembling the impeller into the cage is quite easy, as you just insert the impeller into the cage, give it a little push, and it slides right back into place. Maxspect also included spare parts, which is nice as tracking down spare parts can be challenging, especially if your company is strictly based overseas. The 300 series also comes with directional nozzles to help you direct the flow. These easily snap into place, and combining the directional nozzle with the rotation of the cage, you get a good amount of control over the direction of the flow. Speaking of cages, Maxspect also included a mesh overlay for the Gyre to help keep out sea anemones and other small creatures like Sarah snails. The mesh simply slides over the pump cage and is easily removed as well. For those of you looking for the tech specs, the Gyre will couple on glass up to 3/4 inches thick, pushes a maximum flow of 5,280 gallons per hour, pulls anywhere from 5 to 52 watts of power, and is suggested for tanks from 80 to 800 gallons. The basic Maxspect controller is included with the Gyre, and it can control 2 Gyres at the same time. Bigger news to me is that it can also power 2 Gyres at the same time, which means you only need 1 power supply to run 2 pumps. That is nice. The controller provides basic flow control like syncing, anti-syncing of pumps, and variable speed and timing control. Maxspect does have the Synergy app to control the Gyre, and note that the Maxspect Connect ICV6 module is required to communicate with the pump. Nice to see an app-based control of the Gyre, and I'm awaiting the arrival of the Maxspect connection module to try out the app. While the Gyre is not Neptune Systems Apex ready as of the making of this video, hopefully the Synergy app will provide expanded functionality to the Gyre beyond just a stock controller. Overall, I'm glad to see the Maxspect listened to their user base and made the new Gyre easier to service. The controller that comes with the pump leaves some features to be desired, as I would like it to be truly Apex ready. Now, Maxspect's apps helps you get around that a little bit if you're willing to buy additional hardware. If you're looking for a middle-of-the-road pump with a unique flow pattern that's now directional, the new Gyre fits that bill.